complaint, and sorry, I was taking my note, the ombudsman complaint, and a copy to be sent to the Attorney General of Ontario and the Chief of Police and the Premier of Ontario and the federal Prime Minister, and to each candidate who are running federally, and to all MPPs and city councilors if needed. Right, but the main purpose of this is for the ombudsman. This is for the elected complaint and a human rights complaint in reference to the actions of 43 Division in reference to the banning of myself, Mr. Kevin Clark, from within 500 meters of my place where my apartment was on fire. It turned out I was in the living room. There was a fire in the bedroom with the door closed. I thought that the individual who had let use the room, saved his life for the winter time, was in the room, and it was a cigarette that saved my life, because if I didn't get up to go and smoke a cigarette, and if I didn't pass by the smoke detector, go into the bathroom, and the cigarette smoke didn't set it off, I wouldn't have been able to get it. Once I pull out the alarm that says smoke detector, so on and so on, and there was no more. There was no other alarm, no sound of any smoke. Once I put it out, I smelled electrical or some type of rubber burning, and checked the kitchen, the stove wasn't on, checked the desk, I was on, nothing was lit. But then I went to the room and called towards Paul, knocked. There's no answer. And then when I pushed towards it, was like the door was like something was jammed against it, and I pushed harder, and I just see a humongous thing of black smoke, just something right out of a movie, came shooting towards me and right through the hallway. And then I saw a spark towards the corner, and I still thought that Paul was still in the room, so I was screaming like, Paul, 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 figuring he was dead. From there, I went scream at NSC dog who had no leash on to get out. She came out. Then I went to out, pressed the fire alarm, in turn saving the lives and the homes of everyone there for potential fire spreading, and in turn ran down, got the fire extinguisher. When I ran towards the door, there was too much smoke. I had to go to the hallway, and in turn banged on the smoke detector. Finally got it on to where the white stuff was coming out. But when I went towards the front of my door, there was, pushed it towards it, there was no fire. It was just a lot of black smoke. And we have to see if that's how electrical creates just black smoke. I was eventually told by an individual that maybe if I had worked on recently, that the housing is using Europeans who to do the electrical, and they use different connections. So they don't connect one wire to another wire, they connect a different color to another different color, and that could have led to a short. Paul in turn said that he had left his phone plugged into a socket that was faulty, and because it was an old phone, that could have caused the battery to short circuit and could have caused it to blow up. And he left a water heater plugged in there, and that was it. I tried to protect him from it. I told him not to say nothing about it, but he keeps saying about it. And I believe he also told that to Mario because I didn't want him to be blamed for an electrical fire that was caused due to negligence by Toronto Community Housing. Now, we also have a large amount of videos I've done since I've been ordered homeless on false charges by Toronto Community, by the police, where I was forced to agree not to go on the property of 4301 Kingston Road, or they will send my dog to the Human Society. And I knew from previous contact with Human Society to get her help for her ear issue and some boys she had on her that they could put her down, and it would be at their discretion. So I did not want the dog to die because I went through a lot to save her from abuse. So in turn, I agreed not to go on the property of 4301 Kingston Road. And then when we went through, they turned it to where it's not to be within 500 meters, and they charged me for endangering animal, which is the same animal they gave back to me. So the charge was not for the death of my cats, it was for the endangering animal. So if you're charging me for the death of my cat and the animal, why would you give me back the same animal The only reason was because that's what they used to get me to agree to these conditions, which are conditions that violate my mobility rights and lead to me not being able to go back to my housing. And the reason they would do that is they know once I get to my housing, I will take photos and videos that would confirm everything I say is true. But the video by Miss Tim Forsyth from where she took from the school that showed only the room was where the fire was isolated. The police said that, well, you don't need to go back because everything was gone. They told me that the whole unit burnt down, and we don't believe that's the case, so we need access to the unit. Randy McDonald said that if I had insurance on the unit, they would have given me temporary housing, but this is why. The insurance, if I put insurance in the unit, it would be for all my possessions. So why would you give me temporary housing if my possessions were burnt up? Right? That means with insurance, that would be for replacement of possessions. And if you say I need insurance on the unit for you to give me another unit, that doesn't make no sense. You are saying that I need to insure Toronto Community Housing property. So I need to insure in case there's a breakage in the pipe, which is Toronto Community Housing's responsibility. I need to insure if there's an electrical problem that leads to a fire. Is this? It's not the responsibility of the tenant to insure community housing property. So it doesn't make no common sense unless they're just telling you whatever they want to tell you to try and keep you out, because the police did housing a favor by putting on these stipulations, and in turn the police would not withdraw it, and they knew that due to the lockup in the court, it would take a long time, and they're hoping that I will end up in the drugs, or I will end up breaching the recognizance and all this. And this is a violation of my Canadian Charter rights. Basically what this saying by the police sticking to this, not to allow my premise because I'm charged, is saying that I am guilty upon a charge, and that my charter rights and our courts have no jurisdiction over that. Also, this is total discrimination because Scott T. Laurie was charged, and he's a non-tenant. He was charged for all these things against me and all these violence against me, but in turn there was no boundaries and no ban on Scott T. Laurie. So there's a boundary and a ban on me. And with all these other times we've called, it takes weeks and months to charge Laurie, but yet you're saying you did a fire investigation and you did a police investigation, and according to the timeline Mr. Greco gave, you say you did that within, the fire started nearly 3 o'clock, and you arrested me before 6. It took about an hour easily to get the fire out and get everything, and to get fire marshaling. So are you saying the fire marshal did an investigation and the police did an investigation within 2 hours? Within 2 hours to determine that it was not the individual. If it was arson, then the only thing you determine is that the individual who was using that room had set the fire. You would exclude the individual who left and then charge the individual who was in the fire? Does that make any common sense? Clearly a case of corruption. And we asked all the different agencies, we asked the human rights, and we asked the ombudsman, and to address this, to remove the ban immediately. And we asked Leachy and the Attorney General of Ontario that due to the extraordinary evidence that show that these charges are clearly false and fabricated, because you would not give that answer if you charge a person for endangering, which is what it is. So if it was true, what you're saying, it would not be in possession of the dog, which is right here. Also, that twice the different police has come through. I'm going to do a separate video in reference to the action of Supervisor Stephen at PM, which came and said, "Decision to remove all my possessions." When, as you can see here, I will show you the area and how the area is set up, so you will know there's still criminal arrest by the Toronto police. Because all we have here is dog food for my dog, a card to keep possession, 2 chairs, of water for my dog. I've cleaned up all the area here to put together a Children's Garden of Hope, and that's it there. And this used to say, look, now for the police to threaten and then say they're going to call the city to come and remove everything, which is our basic needs of life. For them to do that is an attempt murder against me and my dog. On the grounds that when you take a look over here, this has been, see, as you can see, all this I have cleaned. All the garbage I have cleaned here. Now I'm going to show you here, right, when we go all the way down here. As you can see, I have cleaned everything from here on the outside of the fence. I have cleaned all the garbage, every bit of garbage. I cleaned all this. We had done it on the inside there, but then the police came and said they contact the property owner through a number that was on the fence, and the property owner does not want me there, and they were going to charge me for breaching my recognizance or arrest me if I didn't leave, because as you can see, all the fences I have tied up, because this is where I had the dog. All these fences were falling down. They were all fell down. I tied up every single one of them to make sure it's safe for the public. So we are asking for a claim against supervisor number 2 and 3 and all officers involved for criminal harassment, obstruction of justice, and endangering my life and the life of an animal. And if you ever doubt the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, we went through rain, snow, sleet, and we are alive now. And we're asking the people and those involved to help save the life of this animal and myself, who the Toronto police is trying to take. But when you see over here, you will see that all this I have cleaned up. That was a despicable mess. Okay? And then all of this I put over here by the curb. But the police will not call the city to remove the garbage. The police will call this. I cleaned up all this too. The police is calling the city to remove the dog and the human being they removed from inside here with threats. And yes, the Toronto World Peace Movement is our focus to bring peace on earth and goodwill to all. And the Toronto police. No? No? Oh, sorry, yeah.
You don't have to put
I got
the
it.
camera on
It's
me.
down. Look. Okay?
Is that your dog?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay. And it's unbelievable that the police would have made such a claim that is so transparent that it leads to police corruption. To God be the glory, again, to help save the animal, and Mr. Kevin Clark at Creating Good People at gmail.com, and let's end police corruption. And this is where we're at. And again, we are not encompassing the sidewalk or impeding the public's right of way, but the police are endangering the life of myself and my pet. And that, my friend, is like we're on the whole rugged cross. We ask for immediate action on this. This is not Canadian.